Okay, this is going to be a compilation of the videos that I took and pictures I took of the car fire. And what you're seeing here is later in the afternoon, probably before or after I walk Odie. And what you see looking east is the range that separates Weaverville from Reading. But to get there, we got to go left on the highway at the other end of the valley, go around that range and down Buckhorn Summit, and then back toward the south, basically. But we're actually heading northeast. But from here, it would look like you're going south. Anyway, the skies every day were beautiful, except for when they did their trail chems, if you know what I mean. And that's what I'm going to mostly talk about because I witnessed this. And so this is what I was used to seeing in the morning or in the evening on a good clear day, which was far and few between. And now I'm making this, I don't know, 4.5 years later. Um, and I found a couple more of the videos I recorded of what I actually filmed after the fire cruising through Reading, so I thought I'd put these all together. Anyway, the next picture is one morning I woke up about 7 o'clock before Odie's walk, before breakfast. I went out just to look, and what I seen frightened me for a couple moments because for a minute there I thought they finally done it, and some kind of bomb went off in Reading, and I was waiting for it to mushroom, but it never did. And so I'll show you the rest of those photos as I speak about this before I put the movies or the videos up of what I recorded, and probably what some other people recorded and what the news had to say about all this. And one of the things was they talked about what started the fire, and I don't know, I have a hard time believing that a spare tire or a tire on a trailer, probably going up Buckhorn Summit, as the guy pulled his trailer, he had a flat, the rim hit the ground, the asphalt, and sparks come off of it and hit the brush on the side of the road, windy conditions, and that started the fire. I don't know if I believe that story. It's possible, I guess, but it's not what the main thought is about this, but I will post what I have. So a little while later, I zoomed in on this cloud. It never did make the mushroom cloud I was expecting, but it was still impressive at 40 miles away. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And we started to listen to the news and different radio stations to figure out what was going on, and it took several hours to get the information. So here's this picture. I don't remember if this was the same day or the next day, but the winds were blowing south. We're looking east, and it looked like it was going to calm down, or maybe they had it under control, which it wasn't, but it was different. And so we kind of hoped that everything was going to be all right, but it wasn't. Same day, the cloud changed again, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. I think these last three were all on the same day. It just kept changing and morphing into different shapes, and we didn't know what was going on at this time. But still kept an eye on it, wondering what was going to happen. I started thinking ahead a little bit, in case it came our way, what do I do? But I wasn't worried just yet. And now we were starting to get reports from different neighbors, and finding out it was a fire. It was up somewhere near Lewiston Lake, Buckhorn Summit, and it was just strange. It's crazy, and the winds, I think, shifted on us. They seem to have gone back toward the north, which was unusual. This one was probably the next day, and what we seen was that it spread south, pretty good distance. So I'll post this next one. So I'm putting these pictures up by memory because what I'm seeing in the dates they were taken, some of them aren't correct, don't know why, but this one here, after it spread south, as I remember, it now is going north, and there's a lot of smoke, and it seemed to be starting to head our way. Now this might be a day or two later, I'm not sure. It's been 4.5 years. I just figured I'd throw these up, and I'm not looking to get monetized. I'm actually figuring out how to get my whole channel unmonetized, because I also have a story in there I wrote that I'm reciting as an audiobook, and I don't want commercials in that. And after thinking about it, I don't want commercials in anything I put up in here. But I'm about to put up the videos that I have, and some of the videos other people have recorded, or at least bits and pieces. But yes, this is a scary thing when you live out in the woods and basically the wilderness, surrounded by thousands upon thousands of trees. And a lot of this has to do with poor forest management, but I'll get into the rest of that also. So here's one of the things that made me angry. This photo here is of the biggest tanker they got for putting out fires. It's based somewhere north of the Bay Area, but it never left the ground. I don't know if it has nowadays, but back then it stayed on the ground. Had they launched that to attack this fire, it probably would have made a dent, because of the amount of water and fire retardant that this thing could carry. It's the biggest one they've ever made. The next video I'm going to put up is of the Coast Guard, or the National Guard rather, their tanker plane, which is nowhere near the size of this thing. And it's pretty interesting. Get to take a ride inside and listen to it as it dumps its load. But I just can't believe that this thing never ever attacked the fire around Redding, which is one of the major cities in Northern California that sits in the valley. Just blows my mind. I can't believe that they haven't done anything about that. Also, apparently, down below you can see what I think is the Sacramento River, which does run through Redding. Pretty interesting. I took a photo at a light in downtown Melbourne before I got back onto, I believe it's called 299, going back to Weaverville, but I had to go through Reading first to get to 299 because I came down from Medford, Oregon, seeing a retina specialist up there. And this photo was just as the fire ended and the smoke was still hanging in the valley. And I believe that's the sun up there, so you can tell how bad this lingered for a good duration of time, apparently. This might have been 2 days maybe after the fire was out. I don't remember, but unbelievable. So here are my 2 or 3 videos in a row so you can see what's going on from my perspective. Alright, moving finally. Check this out. No houses there anymore. All that brown you see, dead leaves that shouldn't be dead right now. Let me turn this off. The friggin' Bluetooth gets static in this section. I turned it off. Just missed most of this town. Coming from Reading, you can see all the dead leaves over here. Just from the heat. The whole entire hillside. Back in there. Came down here. Shasta. Got one lane open here for about 5 miles. This is all burnt. Most of that hill over there is burnt. There's some more houses gone. This whole area burned. This is kind of like what it looks like. Like a atomic bomb went off, burned everything. It's ugly. Took out all the good wood, I guess. Most of it. Anything near the road. Just killed all the leaves. Everything that was near the heat. It's fucking horrible. All these trees are going to be dead. They'll never come back. Look at this. That's just the tip of the iceberg. All the way up that hill. All this. All that. Not every house got burned, but quite a few just on this stretch. All dead. Almost all. Out of white ash. Some structure burnt right there. Don't know what it was. It's like a shed. I haven't seen very many of the mobile homes. They used to be along the way to Reading. I think that shed that I've seen was probably one of the mobile homes. All right, I'm going to pause it for a minute. All right, we're heading toward the top of this hill, which the other side is Whiskey Town Lake. And you'll see some of the cleanup efforts right in this area. I've only traveled, I don't know, a mile. A skidder. Rust area still there. You can see right there in the distance what's burnt, and that whole mountain over there burnt. All that brown over there burnt. Like I said, that whole mountain's burnt. We're going to Buckhorn Summit, which is about a 3,600 foot elevation with an 8% grade. It's on the other side of the lake here. Look at that. All park. And that ain't even the worst of it yet. At least in this area. Dead trees everywhere. All that brown should still be green. stuff on the ground burning up the heat. Alright, I'm going to pause it for now. Alright, we still haven't come to the end of the lake, but as you can tell, this weight station got burned just from the heat. Look at this. It's like some friggin' haunted forest. There's nothing on them hills anymore. The marina. Kind of hard doing this and driving. I wish I had a helper. That's all burned up there. Don't know how high up it went that way, but I'm sure that's part of where we gotta go, is up that mountain, that range. All this is dead, pretty much. A few green shrubberies left. What a waste of trees. This goes on for miles, almost all the way to Douglas City. Look at that. Well, these trees are gonna die. Yeah, they're already dead. Basically, their live parts got boiled. Now you can see where they cut fire trails up there. A lot of gold was found here in the old days, Chinese. French Gulch. fire breaks. Now you can see them better. That place got burned. All the grass got burned up there. There weren't too many trees, but that's what causes the heat. Look at that. Unbelievable. A few green trees left, but everything you see out there is conifers, sugar pine, ponderosa pine. And they don't turn brown in the fall. That's because they're dead. Okay, so I'm going to fill you in on what's going on because I forgot the order of things. It's a lot. So the video you just watched was after the fire, and now I'm going back during the fire of the 3 videos I think I made. I think it was 3 of what we were seeing during the fire. And this is going to be important because right about now is when on the news we heard that they couldn't control this fire, and there was a lot of damage in Reading. Houses burnt, trailers, cars burnt, part of the city burnt. It wasn't just near Shasta. It had traveled north, which means from there it went kind of through the outskirts of Reading, through a couple subdivisions, and I believe in the south side of Reading it basically jumped the Sacramento River. But the point I'm making here is, at about this time, this is when they couldn't control it, because it went from what I could see on the horizon all the way south and all the way north, nothing but a line of smoke. And from what I know, and I don't have videos of it, I don't think, but this fire proceeded north of Reading on the outskirts, possibly near the river. I think it was on the west side of Reading, and it went all the way up to this other city called Shasta City, which is at the base of Mount Shasta. So it moved another 40 miles from Reading before it finally petered out. Anyway, so I'm going to post this one and kind of the order of things of what I was witnessing during the fire, because to pull this video apart and insert it in the right place is just too much. So here you go. You're not supposed to come out on your own. Stay in there. So, wind's out south today. Now, you can see the smoke way over there, north. Your origin, where it's at now, and a little bit to the right. So it's going right toward Reading. Hard. Not good, people, not good. Goes all the way over to there. Got my motor home. Still here. Unbelievable. Wasn't over there days ago. There was nothing over there. It was blue. So the winds have changed. Now it's going back toward Reading. The biggest part is right over there behind them 2 pine trees there. And probably over that way where it started. But you can tell by looking at that smoke how it's getting blown east and north. Not good, people. Where's all these tanker planes we should have? This country's rich, the biggest superpower in the world, spending billions on military shit. But they don't have but one tanker plane, and I haven't even seen it flying yet. What is going on? That's it. Over and out. So here's a photo of that plane again. It's new. They said on the news they don't have the money. The government in California doesn't have the money to put the fuel in this thing. That's what we heard. Now, what really pisses me off is that because at this point in time, maybe the day before I took this last video, on the news they also stated they couldn't put the fire out because the firemen couldn't communicate with each other. Because you have county, city, state, and Forest Service, along with the National Guard, all working together, and they couldn't communicate because cell towers were going down, power lines were down, so even if they were there, they couldn't communicate. So they asked Verizon to turn up the power on their microwave frequency for 5G. And this is where I have a real bitch and a problem. And I will explain that near the end when I post these other photos I have. Because basically it hurt my health. As you can see from where I'm perched in Weaverville, I'm at the highest upper end of the valley, pretty much. And I'm looking at the highest point on the other side of the valley, which is that ridge line where on the other side was the fire. And what they did was they had to reroute the signal that comes into town over that ridge somehow, and then they turned up the power to the satellites also, which is the way a phone operates. And the satellite is basically behind those two tall pine trees, because that's where my satellite dish was pointing to also. And what comes over that ridge is like a transfer station. It went through town, it hit the other transfer station behind me on the other summit, and then went down to the coast, went north, and then circled back in toward Redding somehow, where the fire wasn't quite there yet. Anyway, they were able to communicate, and that's when they started cutting a lot of fire breaks, and the firemen were all able to use their cell phones to talk to each other to coordinate, which I can understand, except for one problem. That microwave frequency kind of screwed me up, and I'll explain later. Twilight. Now you can see where it's coming into the valley here. Just starting to creep in at twilight. See if I can give you a shot of this. Smoke. Winds have changed. They're coming at me. See it right there. Can't see that ridge separates us because the winds are blowing it this way. And I can't get out of here because they don't have good enough internet up here. And I need a Rolling Rock, of course. Big one. This brake line that nobody has in town. My passenger side, which is the right side, cannot get. It's failed somewhere between here and here. I can't bleed it out. I can't get my front brakes. because of that. Oh yeah, Baby Godzilla code. And left side, right side makes the difference because they don't twist much. Only that part on this side to here twists. The rest is stable to the frame and will not allow fluid to come through because somewhere in here it's plugged up. There's a metal line covered by rubber. It's flexible, that's why it's covered by rubber. And it is deteriorated where I cannot bleed out my caliper on the passenger's side. It's a documentary just to let you know why I cannot move this thing. It's because one of my friends is such an asshole, and that's all I know. I still need a trailer, idiot. Okay, so on the news, the firemen asked them to turn up the power to the microwave frequency. On the front of my motorhome, in both these videos, you'll see I have an aluminum foil with a styrofoam backing as insulation in my windshield. Now, you know, we've been breathing this stuff. It's in our bodies. Aluminum oxide, barium, and I don't know what the other metal is. I can't remember. But not only that, with the microwave frequencies, that's going to just make it even worse. So what happens when you put metal in a microwave? Well, you know. Well, that aluminum foil, if you look close, started to curl up. It had gone through 3 summers of 100-degree temperatures, 1 in Florida, 2 in California, and there was no problem, and you could see that. And the last video, you'll really notice that it continuously got worse, and it eventually got so bad that it heated up the windshield, and it caused the glass, the glue that holds the glass into the rubber, to liquefy, and my windshields actually started to slide out of the top of the rubber. I had to have that repaired. It's here. I can show you the repair job, but I may do that. And it was winter time, so it was very difficult to do. We couldn't heat up the glass and push it back in. It was just too cold. And that's because I had to do it later, not during June. I didn't notice it till later. But anyway, the microwave frequency caused one of my eyes to have another torn retina, which we know microwave frequencies have ocular damage. You can get ocular damage because of the water, for one thing. And because I had a lot of fillings in my upper teeth, caused a lot of them to break eventually. It took a little while, 2 weeks after the fire, one tooth broke, fell out. Then another one a couple of weeks later. And then after I left, one in Alabama finally broke and fell out. Anyway, I've had all that ripped out, taken care of, my eyes fixed. That was the reason I was going to Medford, because I'd rather go there, and that doctor up there was excellent. Anyway, there's more complications later, which is irrelevant. I still can see, but I'm kind of half blind. And I have my dentures now, but I got to get them worked on. They kind of hurt when they're in. But anyway, so I will show you other pictures related to this crap. I got a couple of them from Florida, and then a lot of them are from California, and there's one from the central part of the United States where they really go off. I don't know who's doing this, but the one video I'm going to post with the UFO flying behind one of these planes makes you wonder, are they doing it to modify the atmosphere for them, or are these occupants in the UFO following and thinking, what in the Sam fucking hell are they doing to themselves? We know that they already don't like the nuclear missiles. We know already that they've been filmed destroying a test missile that launched from I think it was an Air Force base in California, Vanderbilt or something. Anyway, they circled it, shot several laser beams at it, knocked out the nose cone of it where the dummy warhead was, messed it up, and it crashed into the Pacific, not where they wanted it to go in. But anyway, makes you wonder what the hell's going on here and who is in power and doing this to us. So I'll show you that video and I'll post this with that video because there's no sound to it. So these are the pics that I got mostly in California because it was so obvious to me. And then the two before the little cartoon, those were from Florida down here recently. Looked like stair steps coming down, but there was black in those trails. I don't know what that was. But anyway, I'm going to post this last video that I made. I believe it was after the fire, maybe a couple days. And what I seen was some kind of object in the sky. It was kind of up there, way off. It stood still. It was gleaming in the morning light. I ran in to get my camera. By the time I came out, it was gone. And then a passenger jet flew over, going from probably the Reading airport maybe, but heading west like it was going across the Pacific, basically. And it left what was a real contrail and a normal one where it evaporates in 30 seconds to a minute. That's what we used to see growing up all the way into the 80s, and then suddenly at the end of the 80s it changed. Alright, so the glass in my window, it had been about 90 degrees, and then when the smoke came over and they did the Verizon power thing, during that time the temperature dropped to 82, and if you'll notice in the first video everything was perfect. The second video it starts curling up, and this last one you'll really see it. I didn't even think about recording it directly at the window, but I caught it in all my videos. Basically, why would it all of a sudden heat up and curl up when the temperature dropped to 82 every day during this time? I don't know what it was once it cleared out. Don't really care. But I did notice the temperature difference. It's like, what the hell's going on? I looked at it every day walking the dog coming up the hill, and it was always fine till this event. So I know that it's related. And I guess I'll post these pictures of where we glued in the windshield because we couldn't move it. We had to use a caulk that's super heavy duty, made for this kind of thing. And it had to be applied with like a battery caulk gun. It's so thick. And because I had a ledge underneath and fiberglass, we were able to push the caulk into there against the rubber to hold the windshield in place. It'll never move. You'll never get it out. It's permanent. It's a little ugly, but I took 2 photos. They're not so great because it's getting dark here, but they should do. And you'll see there's caulk on the glass, and there's caulk on the glass, and you'll see the rubber, and then you'll see the caulk behind the rubber up against the fiberglass. So the rubber's still exposed. Anyway, 3 minutes have gone by. I gotta end this. Where'd it go? There's a bird. Where the hell did it go? It's gone. Now here's something different. From east to west. Probably going to Japan or Hawaii. And that looks normal so far. Where'd that other guy go? That's a normal contrail. That is what they're supposed to do back in the day. When I was growing up, that's what they did. Normal jet fuel. So now you gotta ask yourself this question. Why didn't they send out that brand new giant tanker plane? Is it because from Sacramento North, there's mostly Republicans? They wanted to get out of the state by creating a second half of California called Jefferson State? I don't know. My point is, there's a lot of weird shit going on up here. If you have anything to do with any of my videos, you'll figure that one out. Or my book, my story, the audio book, if you're listening that way. But anyway, I'm going to add a couple more videos from other people to show you some of this extreme natural disaster. But the point is, if you dry up the water, you're going to have fires. If you don't manage the forest, you're going to have fires. They always had such a tight ass about people going out and harvesting some oak or fir or pine, you know, to heat your house in the winter. You weren't allowed to do it. You could only take dead and standing trees, and those are far and few between. And they had to be on certain lots. You know, if you let the people go out and cut firewood, they're cleaning the forest up. They're taking some of it out. I mean, there's so much of it. So now look how much is burned up for nothing. And still, the state goes out and harvests. They went and harvested whatever was only burnt around the bark that was gonna die, because once you heat up the tree, you know, it's dead. It could be dead standing with needles and leaves on it. All the ground cover is heated it up and killed that tree. It'll never grow again. So they harvested the oaks and the, I guess the firs, you know, the fir trees, right where they could get to it, right near the highways. That's why that skidder was there. I know what a skidder is. I worked behind one. Anyhow, so what I want to say now is this video took a long time to put together. I've been at it since, I don't know, 2. I'm going on 7 hours now. And I'm trying to make a point here. Conspiracies, they always wind up to be true. Isn't that kind of funny? And so, I don't know what to tell you, but pray that the evil goes away, and then vote these idiots out. That tanker should have been airborne to protect Reading. That's a big city. And that would have probably helped a lot. Why they didn't do that, I don't know. And then there's this weird object I seen. What's it doing there? I don't know. You know, I went in, I came out, I couldn't see it anymore. It was gone. But I did catch the normal trail, and it was a good shot to show you that the aluminum foil in my windshield did curl up, and it did mess up my windshield. Cost me $200 to have the guy come out and glue that thing in permanently, and it'll never come out. And the way I noticed it was later, a couple months later when it rained. I wasn't worried about the aluminum foil or the styrofoam, that's 10 bucks to replace that. What I was worried about was my windshield dropping out on the highway in front of me. So I had to have that permanently glued. Lucky there's a ledge in the fiberglass, so the glue, it rests on that ledge and it pushes on that rubber. It'll never move again. Anyhow, I'm going to put up these other videos and check them out. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like. If you do and you're following my story on my channel, keep in mind I'm already past 50 videos. So there's 2 pages. You go down to the bottom, you can click back and forth to each page. I think I'm starting to fill up the second page, and it's got, I don't know, 10 videos so far, but this one will probably be on it or whatever. Anyway, check it out. I'm going to figure out how to make it where none of my videos are monetized, because I don't like commercials and I don't want them in my storyline, because each chapter winds up being 30 minutes basically. And I don't feel that if you're listening to a story you should have a commercial inserted. It's supposed to be kind of like an audio book, and this will enable me to listen to what I say as I read it, and then go back in the manuscript and correct any other errors, and then republish it again, because I'm having a hard time seeing now. And I thought I did a really good job editing, but I found out my flow isn't correct all the time, so I'm fixing it as I read. And I am having a hard time reading and seeing, but I go back and I correct the voice track, and you know, I'm getting better at it. I just got to learn how to talk with my teeth in now, which I can't keep in. They hurt too much. I may have to take my drill and grinder to them and fix them myself. I don't know. Can't wait another month. But anyhow, I might cut this voice recording short. Thanks.
Wind-whipped flames made roads nearly impassable. Evacuees quickly filled the highway out of town with bumper-to-bumper traffic. A Reading news station even had to abruptly end its fire coverage.
We are going to leave the station because it is now unsafe to be here.
The fire destroyed homes and an historic schoolhouse in the nearby town of Shasta. Since it ignited on Monday, it has scorched dozens of square miles and is far from contained.
This fire is extremely dangerous and moving with no regard for what's in its path.
The National Guard has been called in to help with the firefighting effort as well as evacuations. But Nora, right now, there's not a lot of firefighting taking place. They are focusing on trying to save some lives.
Joe Vasquez, thanks.
Guardrails, just all of the guardrails severely burned. Sorry if I'm making you guys sick here. Walking around. Just joining us here, we are at the Whiskey Town Lake at the marina. There's a number of boats here. We're gonna walk over quickly here. Walk over and show you this other boat. Series of boats that have been burned. This is kind of the staging area for PG&E. They're getting all their electrical poles and electric lines up. All right, let's make our way down here. You gotta really feel bad for a lot of these boat owners. There's really absolutely nothing they could have done to get these boats off the water. I did hear some good news today that now they have found all of those missing people that have been they're accounted for now. At one point there was up to 19 missing people. There's again dropping off something. Taking some supplies up there. Like I said, there is just miles and... Sorry, lost you there for a second. Alright, so take a look at this. Oh man. Alright. So, I don't know how far I should be walking out here. As you notice, a lot of these docks, they are starting to sink here. Oh man, just take a look at this. All right, I think we're gonna get out of here. It is extremely smoky here. It's getting pretty hot in this area. Once again, we were here at the marina at Whiskey Town Lake. Several boats sunk here. I'm gonna start making my way around the lake, see what else we can find.